At the start of the finale, Annie listens to recordings of testimonies from the Arbizu family. Each statement offers a slightly different perspective. Elena insists her greatest sin was pride, not murder. Paola claims she spent her life trying to protect others. Christina remembers their father warning them never to judge people by appearances. Together, the recordings reveal the central theme of the story. Truth is rarely simple, especially inside a family shaped by tragedy. The question looming over everything is what will happen to Annie, whether she should grow up connected to the family or protected from the darkness surrounding their past. Meanwhile, Paola faces the consequences of everything the investigation uncovered. Recovering in the hospital, she says goodbye to her partner Luisa. Their relationship has been deeply damaged by Paola's lifelong devotion to protecting her sisters. Paola explains that her sense of responsibility goes back to a traumatic childhood memory. Years earlier, when their mother attempted suicide, Paola believes she could have prevented it but failed. That guilt shaped her entire life. Since then, she's felt responsible for holding the family together no matter the cost. But Luisa cannot continue living in the shadow of that obligation. She delivers devastating news before leaving. Paola's pregnancy has ended and the baby's gone. With the loss of their child and the emotional weight of the past, their relationship finally collapses. Paola is left completely alone with the consequences of her choices. As the investigation continues, new video evidence appears that contradicts Elena's earlier story about drugging Wilfredo Gomez. The footage complicates the legal situation and makes it harder for Elena and Paola to escape responsibility for what happened. For years, the details of the incident in the Dominican Republic remained unclear. Some believed Elena panicked during an accident, but the finale eventually reveals the brutal truth. A flashback finally shows what really happened that night. Elena was driving with Officer Gomez when the car suddenly veered off the road. At first, earlier accounts suggested it might have been a tragic accident, but the scene reveals something much darker. Elena deliberately ran him over, and she did it more than once. The moment confirms that Gomez's death was not the result of panic or misfortune. It was an intentional act. Even before the truth is fully uncovered, Elena makes a painful choice regarding her daughter. When Christina visits her in prison with news that she will be allowed to breastfeed the baby during visits, Elena refuses. She believes the best thing she can do for Annie is remove herself from her daughter's life completely. To Elena, staying away is an act of protection. She doesn't want Annie growing up under the shadow of her crimes. That decision shapes Annie's childhood and becomes one of the central emotional wounds of the story. Years later, Annie grows up to become a journalist determined to understand the mystery that defined her life. She studies transcripts, testimonies, and recordings connected to the case. Despite all the evidence, she still struggles to determine the full truth about her mother. Eventually, she travels with Christina to the Dominican Republic for a hearing that could grant Elena compassionate parole. There, she reunites with Paola, who has spent years working in a hospital and quietly supporting Elena from afar. The family tensions quickly resurface, especially when Christina suspects Paola may be manipulating Annie into helping Elena gain freedom. At the hearing, Elena refuses to appear. Instead, Annie is called to testify. She tells the court that she barely knew her mother growing up because Elena deliberately stayed away. For years, Annie resented that absence. But after studying the case, she came to see her mother differently. Annie explains that two versions of Elena could exist at the same time. One version is a monster who committed murder to save herself. The other is a frightened young woman who made a terrible decision while trying to protect her child. Annie chooses to believe the second version. Her testimony doesn't excuse the crime, but it argues that Elena deserves the chance to change. Annie's words ultimately convince the court. Elena is granted compassionate parole after spending decades in prison. For the first time in years, the Arbizu sisters reunite outside the prison walls, but one absence remains. Annie is not there. Even though she helped secure Elena's freedom, she still needs time before deciding whether she wants a relationship with her mother. Elena accepts that decision without hesitation. In fact, she believes staying away from Annie may have been the only truly right choice she ever made. The finale of that night is less about solving a mystery and more about understanding the emotional consequences of the truth. Yes, the final flashback confirms that Elena committed a brutal act of violence, but the story ultimately focuses on how people live with guilt, trauma, and the possibility of forgiveness. Paola spends her life trying to protect her sisters, Christina struggles with resentment and buried anger, and Annie grows up searching for a truth that might finally explain her past. In the end, the series suggests that redemption doesn't erase what happened, but it can still open the door to healing. Elena's freedom is not a happy ending in the traditional sense. Instead, it's the beginning of something uncertain, a chance for the family to move forward, even if the past can never truly be undone.